Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use the render options. These tools will help you add more realism and style to your design, taking it to the next level. To start using the render options, you need to have a design ready, or at least begin creating one. As soon as you place your first piece, you'll notice a small blue circle appears at the bottom left of your screen. Click on it and a menu will appear with all the render options that we are going to explore. The first option we'll look at is Show Grid. This is very useful if you need a visual guide to help you align your objects or maintain proportions in your design. Once you activate it, you can customize it by modifying the dimensions, the number of divisions, and the color of the grid. This way, you can adapt the grid exactly to your design needs. Another very practical option is to load a background. Here you can add a reference image to serve as visual support. It can be a sketch or a photograph. Once you've loaded your image, you'll have controls to adjust the zoom and opacity. This way, you can decide how visible you want it to be while you work on your design. To clearly show you the following render options, I'll use this design I have prepared. Now let's move on to the floor section. Enable the Show Floor option. Several settings will automatically appear that you can modify. The floor color, which allows you to choose the hue of the floor. The floor texture, enabling you to select the surface pattern. The width and length, for defining the dimensions of the floor. The floor opacity, which controls how transparent the floor appears, and the offset, which allows you to precisely adjust the floor's height or vertical position if needed. This will give your scene a more realistic and customizable base. To make it more realistic, you can also enable two very interesting options, Show Shadows and Show Sky. These two features combined give your design a much more professional and lifelike appearance. The next step is to configure the scene's lighting. Here you can adjust the directional intensity, which controls how strong the main light is, the ambient intensity, which regulates the overall lighting of the entire space, and the sun direction, which is reflected in the position of the shadows in your design. These settings are very important because they determine the final atmosphere of your scene. It all depends on your judgment and the style you want to achieve. Finally, when you have your design finished and the whole scene set up, it's time to use Fancy Render. This option allows you to generate a realistic render of your design. My recommendation is to use it at the end, once you have clearly defined the materials, the lights, and the atmosphere of your scene. That way the result will be much more impressive. Now, you know how to use the render options.